I got a short answer section for you here, all right? Just some questions that keep coming up.
Okay.
Why do I have to keep wearing the mask after I get the vaccine? I thought it was going to protect me from the vaccine. What's the answer?
Well, the answer is, unless you get the overwhelming majority of the country vaccinated and protected and get that umbrella of what we call herd immunity, there's still a lot of virus out there.
There's still a lot of virus out there.
So just because you're protected, so-called protected by the vaccine, you need to remember that you could be prevented from getting clinical disease and still have the virus that is in your nasopharynx because you could get infected. We're not sure at this point that the vaccine protects you against getting infected.
We're not sure at this point that the vaccine protects you against getting infected.
We know for sure it's very, very good, 94, 95% in protecting you against clinically recognizable disease.
Clinically recognizable disease, but not COVID?
And almost 100% in protecting you for severe disease.
And almost 100% from severe disease? Well, then what does he call COVID if that's not serious?
But until you have virus that is so low in society, we as a nation need to continue to wear the mask, to keep the physical distance, to avoid crowds. We're not through with this just because we're starting a vaccine program.
We're not through with this just because we're starting a vaccine program.
Even though you, as an individual, might have gotten vaccinated, it is not over by any means. We still have a long way to go, and we've got to get as many people as possible vaccinated, of all groups.
What does that take? When are we fully vaccinated?
Well, the projection that I've made, and I hope it works this way, it's going to depend upon the people's willingness to come up and step up to the plate and get vaccinated.
People's willingness to step up to the plate and get vaccinated.
If you go now through December, January, February, March, you likely will have the people who fall into the high priority groups get vaccinated. When, let's say, you get into April, I would project by the time you get to April, it will be, I guess you want to call it open season in the sense of anyone, even the non-high priority groups, could get vaccinated.
Are we going to have graduations next May? June?
You know, I don't know about this time, this cycle as we go into the spring. It's really going to depend, again, Chris, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it's the truth. It depends how quickly and how many people want to get vaccinated. If we have a smooth vaccination program where everybody steps to the plate quickly, we could get back to some form of normality reasonably quickly into the summer and certainly into the fall. My hope and my projection is that if we get people vaccinated en masse so that we get that large percentage of the population, as we get into the fall, we can get real comfort about people being in school, safe in school, be they K-12 or college. That's what I hope and project we would do if we get everybody vaccinated.
We're not sure at this point that the vaccine protects you against getting infected. Notice he didn't say we could get back to normal and life will return to what it was in 2019.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
This is the primary report on communist brainwashing techniques used by the Chinese and North Koreans on captured American pilots and other military members to get false confessions and propaganda statements supporting the communists and against the UN forces fighting them. It was, and to some extent still is, the core source for capture resistance training for the U.S. Air Force and to some extent for the other services, and has been since the late 1950s. Dr. Bitterman included this layout of 2 charts from the report. A comparison chart. You can go down the list and see that every single one of these is being used in this 2020 psyop being played out every day now. I beseech you, or I exhort you, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you're not your own? For you were bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.